Thank you for joining us. My name is Jane Geller, and I'm the engagement specialist for the RiverRidge Neighborhood Plan. Tonight's session is a community update on the plan and where it currently sits in the town's review process. And we appreciate you all taking the time to join us this evening, and we look forward to sharing an update and hearing your questions. This is the agenda. I'll briefly walk through what we'll cover this evening. First, I'll explain how you can participate during the session. We'll then provide a short project overview, recap of what we heard during the 2025 open house, and outline what has happened since then. After that, we'll review some more specifics about the plan and where the application is in the process. We will then move into a question and answer period where we'll respond to questions submitted by you, the participants. So since this is a Zoom webinar format, I'd like to quickly explain how you can participate. So during the presentation, you can submit a question at any time using the Q&A button at the bottom of your Zoom window. Simply click the Q&A icon, type your question, and press send. We will respond to your questions during the Q&A portion after the formal presentation. Also, if you would prefer to ask your questions verbally, you can use the raise hand feature during the Q&A period. And to do this, you just click the raise hand button at the bottom of your window. But if you don't see it, you could click the reactions icon where you will find the raise hand option. But that will only be used during the Q&A period. So when it is your turn during the Q&A period, we will call on you and enable your microphone so you can ask your question live. We ask that everyone keep questions brief and respectful so we can hear from as many participants as possible. And finally, wanted to flag that this session is being recorded. So the recording, presentation slides, and a feedback form will be shared with all registrants after the session, even if you didn't join us tonight. With that, I'll have the rest of the team introduce themselves as we head into the formal presentation.
Sure.
Start with Jack.
Thanks, Jane. I'll start. My name's Jack Model. I'm with B&A Studios. We are a planning consulting firm. We are the applicant on behalf of Douglas Developments, and we are guiding this application through the process of the town review. Matt, do you want to go next?
Yeah, thanks, Jack. Matt Groen, representing Douglas Developments, development manager here. So working with Jack and our external consultants to have the outline plan approved by the town of Cochrane.
And Alan Boucher with BLV Development Management, providing development management and advisory services for the landowner Douglas Developments on this file.
Thanks, guys. As Jane mentioned, I'll give a brief presentation, and I think we'd like to use most of our time tonight for a Q&A. So as an overview of what this application is for, this is a proposed residential neighborhood. It is a neighborhood plan within the approved River Heights area structure plan. And what a neighborhood does is it sets the framework for how a new community develops. It includes things like what types of land uses and homes will be, where they will be located, where parks and open space will go, the road network, how utilities will be provided. A lot of the details of when and how that development will occur will happen later on through detailed engineering and subdivision. So in 2011, the River Heights Area Structure Plan was approved, which is the overall guiding document for a large area as shown on this plan for the Willows and Rivercrest and other developing communities as well. In 2024, the neighborhood plan for this area was submitted. It went through an initial review process with the town. It was resubmitted back to the town with comments and changes in 2025. And in March 2025, we brought forward this application to the public for a public open house. We received several comments there that we then took back and integrated into the plan. We recognize it has been a significant time since that March 2025 open house. The primary changes that occurred between then and now were very technical in nature. a lot of background work with the town on things like the geotechnical and slope, the environmental areas, ensuring the delivery and timing of road network. And I'll get into all these things. I just wanted to set the groundwork for the fact that a lot of the neighborhood plan itself has not changed substantially since that last meeting in March 2025. But enough time has passed that we felt it was very important to have another open house in case there were some folks who were not engaged the first time around. Maybe someone's new to the area, and also to give an update before we move ahead to future approvals with the town. So now we're here in spring 2026. We anticipate taking this application before council, and I'll touch on that a little bit at the end of the presentation as well. So what we heard in 2025, we had a good turnout in March 2025. The key comments that we heard were mostly related to protection of the Bow River and the natural areas along the slope, including the trees, traffic, access at Highway 22, congestion and how that would be managed over time, pedestrian safety, crossings within the plan and outside the plan, and also the appropriateness of the type of housing density and the fit for the area. As I mentioned, since March of last year, the following work has been completed. There's been an ongoing technical review with the town, specifically related to the sloped area, the environmental lands, and ensuring that the application is meeting all technical requirements, and reviewing and finalizing the studies that support that work. Also, detailed discussions about the road access to Highway 22 and the timing of that. Review of, as I said, environmental setbacks, coordinating servicing, and just generally refining small details to the application. So I would consider the most major topic that we heard about, and also the most major change to the plan, is refinements to the factor of safety, slope, stability, setback that defines the boundary for where development can occur and where environmental reserve is instituted to preserve the existing slopes and trees on the north side of the plan and on the east as well. As you can see, the areas colored in green on the top, as well as the special study area, are not proposed to be developed as part of this application. All of the trees within that area and any environmental lands are to be preserved as is. Homes are set back from the river, and we spent time with the town identifying exactly how those setbacks need to be implemented to ensure safety and not disturbing the environmental areas. As I mentioned, the trees on the north portion closest to the river are all to be retained. We completed wildlife surveys, and we reviewed with the town, ensuring that our stormwater management also meets provincial standards. Another key change, or another key item that was reviewed, is just how the transportation infrastructure is brought in and at what time. As was initially proposed, the access will initially be from the southeast, from River Heights Drive and River Heights Lane, with a temporary emergency access as shown in the blue dotted to Highway 22, and then a future signalized intersection at RiverRidge Drive and Highway 22. Now, a lot of this has not changed substantially since the March 2025 open house, but we did work with the town about exactly how these road improvements would be delivered. And we also had them do a detailed review of the traffic impact assessment, or TIA. I think not necessarily a change, but just a feature of this plan will be the pedestrian connections and the connections to the open spaces that will be provided here. As you can see, there's a abundance of pathways, regional pathways and connections, both inside the plan and outside, giving people access to the open spaces here and connecting to neighboring areas. One of the tweaks that we did work with the town on was the regional pathway along RiverRidge Drive. I'm not sure if you can see my cursor, but that is the dotted blue line. And making sure that the crossing locations, where that crosses collector roadways and how it interfaces with other development, maximizes the ability to have pedestrian safety and accessibility, and also looked at how that will be delivered over time, where you don't want to have a road that's constructed where people are driving but you can't actually walk along the side of it. That's not ideal for pedestrian safety. So those are the types of things that we looked at with the town over the last year. And lastly, just want to highlight the really exciting open space that we're happy to bring forward through this plan. A couple highlights: the regional dog park on the northwest corner, 4 neighborhood park spaces, playgrounds, a half basketball court, and pathway connections throughout the community, and then access to the environmental reserve areas. The housing mix has not changed significantly. It's still predominantly single detached, low density, with a couple alternative housing products, including the back-to-back townhouses. The lowest densities are located near the neighborhood edge and near the environmental areas. And so that's a summary of what has changed and what's being brought forward with this application. It's now under final review by the town. We anticipate council consideration in the spring, subject to the town's timelines. We would like to hear feedback from the public, and we still have opportunity to integrate what we hear through our final rounds of revisions. So I think I can open it up to Q&A.
Yeah, thanks, Jack. So that concludes the formal presentation portion of tonight's session. We'll now move into the question and answer period. So as a reminder, if you haven't already submitted a question, you can do so using the Q&A button at the bottom of your Zoom window. And if you would prefer to ask your question verbally, please use the raise hand features and we will call on you. We got a few questions coming in already. First one comes from an anonymous attendee. They asked, has a traffic study been completed on River Heights Drive? And how many additional vehicles will enter or exit off River Heights Drive?
I can start answering that, and then Alan, if you need to add something else, you can. As part of the area structure plan for the overarching area, there was a transportation analysis completed and a transportation strategy that defined where major roadways would be located and how each portion of the plan would be accessed. And then, yes, as far as this plan itself, we did complete our own TIA, transportation impact assessment, to ensure that the accesses from River Heights Drive, as well as the future access from Highway 22, can operate successfully.
Yeah, nothing to add there, Jack. I think we had a specialist transportation engineer complete the TIA that aligns with the town's transportation master plan and other TIAs in the area. So don't have the exact number in front of us in terms of vehicles per day, but through the subdivision conditions and the policies in the NSP, the town will evaluate each phase of RiverRidge as it develops to ensure that the appropriate infrastructure is in place.
I'll see if I can find additional information about the vehicles per day and circle back to it.
So, next question we've got. Someone's wondering if there are any plans to implement pathways through the environmental reserve and how it's planned to develop, if applicable, without disrupting the land. There's quite a few protected animals that live in there.
Jack, I could take that one if you're looking at...
Yeah, sorry, I was just unmuting, but you go for it.
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's quite steep through the environmental reserve area, so we did look at running pathways through the plan, but in conjunction with discussions with the town and emergency services, it was deemed best to keep the bulk of it naturalized. So aside from the pathways that are shown on the plan, we've tried kind of kept those focused on areas where the slopes permit that type of pathway engagement.
Great. Thanks, Alan. Next question is from Shelley, who asks, what changes have been made to the intersection of River Heights Lane and River Heights Rise? It is a blind sloped curve. If anyone could speak to that.
Yeah, I can start. I think what's most important to understand is that the way that this intersection appears now is not how it will be at final build out. This entire roadway, this entire stretch will be improved, and that's being done in accordance with the town's transportation master plan.
Yeah, it'll be upgraded to an urban standard, as Jack mentioned. Engineering design is actually currently underway. So, through the phase one subdivision and engineering design, that will all be designed according to current standards and upgraded to be an urban collector.
Okay, great. Yeah, another road related question. When will the access to Highway 22 be created?
The short answer is that it would be driven by the number of units, the number of trips. So there'd be a threshold identified by the transportation assessment when that upgrade would need to be constructed. We worked with the town specifically on that item, and they wanted to see that brought forward sooner. So that's one of the items we've been, doing more detailed technical, but I can't give an exact, time because it would be dependent on how quickly development happens and how many rooftops are in place.
Yeah, phase one can definitely be developed without it. We've confirmed that at the town, and then to Jack's point, further analysis would be completed for phase two. But there is a plan in place to construct the ultimate access in conjunction with development.
Just for context, Ellen, roughly how large is phase one?
It'll be about 100 to 150 lots.
Awesome. Now a path-related question. You show a walking path along River Ridge Drive. Are you constructing this pathway between your development and River Heights Drive?
Yeah, thanks for the question. So that's the pathway, I'm assuming, that's shown on the southeast portion here, connecting our development. And this will be constructed, I believe, by the town as part of the overall improvements to that roadway. I will also believe Douglas will be paying into that development cost through levies. So it's not necessarily us that will be constructing it, but it will be constructed.
Perfect. Got another question coming in asking about the timeline for housing construction, starting and completion. If anyone could speak to that.
Maybe more on Alan or Matt.
Yeah, I can speak to that. A lot of it's going to depend on the approval from the town. But once the town approves, or if and when the town approves it, which we're expecting sometime in spring of 2026, we'll look to start stripping and grading in the fall of 2026. And I think that's a optimistic view right now, with construction starting in 2027. For this development, we have 3 phases. Typically, as a developer, and it's no guarantee, we like to do 1 phase per year. So construction would be between 2027 and 2030, with full completion between 2030 and 2032, depending on sales and market.
Thanks, Matt. Next question. This is a good one. This pertains to this special study area. What would be planned to be developed there? But most importantly, what is a special study area?
I feel like Alan might have a bit more background on it, but Alan, do you want to start with that one?
Yeah, so it's a third. Obviously, there are Douglas Developments leading the application, and there's other landowners in the area that they're working with. Essentially, this is identified in the area structure plan for future development, but At this time, planning on the lands remains a future task that would be undertaken by that landowner when they choose. So there's been work done with the town to ensure that servicing stubs and environmental considerations have been considered, but to advance the approvals, it's kind of identified as a cell that would be subject to future planning areas when they choose to develop. So that, yeah, Jack, I don't know if you have anything else to add on
No,
the
that's
downside.
good. You filled in the part I didn't know. The special study area is essentially saying that some portion of that area could have environmental value and needs to be studied by a biologist. And that separate landowner did not participate in this portion of the application. So really, what we've done is provide access and potential servicing, and then in the future, if that landowner wants to develop, they would have to go through the same process.
Next question. How many houses are planned to be developed, or at least a sort of range or up to maximum in the plan?
Yeah, I can take that one, Jane. As of right now, we have planned just over 300 units, varying mix between single family to on the outer edge, and then a higher density in the middle with our back-to-back towns. So just over 300 with 3 phases planned, and each phase will plus or minus be around 100 units.
Perfect, thank you.
And I also saw a question from Shelley at the top of the queue. The question was, is the upgrade prior to construction start? But I feel that we maybe missed a little bit of context because we were probably talking about it. I'm assuming the upgrade is referring to the upgraded roadways for RiverRidge Drive, sorry. And if so, then I believe the answer is yes. But Shelley, if you just want to, if that didn't answer your questions, then just retype a new question and we'll clarify.
Yeah,
Just to
thanks.
add to that, it would be concurrent with the subdivision construction. So prior to housing being occupied by any land homeowners.
Perfect. Got another road related question, specifically on RiverRidge Drive. They're asking what the interface will be like between RiverRidge Drive and the existing River Heights View villas. Will the developer plant additional trees? What would this interface look like?
That's a good question. Okay, we're referring to the south portion of the plan. So the primary interface is with obviously there's a municipal reserve open space that does come down to the corner there as well. So we've taken care to ensure that we're not fronting high density development directly onto that the existing villas. There'll also be a collector standard roadway that will have street trees on it as well. Hope that answers the question.
Yeah, thanks, Ron. We received another question asking or saying that they've heard that lights are planned for what I'm assuming Highway 22. Would anyone be able to speak to that?
I can speak to it. I don't have an answer for that. The Highway 22 is under provincial transportation jurisdiction. We could look into that, but I don't have the answer right now. I know there's talk of expansion and widening of it. If that means lights come with it, I'm not sure at this time. If anyone wants to add anything.
Perfect.
Yeah, I do believe the province has functional studies that show the upgrades out there. So if you just do a quick Google of functional studies, it will be an intersection. I do believe signals are posed, but best to refer to the province, as Matt had mentioned, in their studies.
Yeah, usually that type of study is based on a traffic warrant. What the signalization would be based on the number of vehicles at the intersection. So I would assume there wouldn't be signals there until there's a sufficient number of vehicles coming through from the east-west direction. But again,
Yeah,
a
and
province.
to add further, I do believe late last year the town updated their levies to add this intersection into the development charges for new development. So there is a lot of funding from new development heading towards this intersection.
Great. We've received a construction-related question. They're asking about construction traffic and if they'll be using access from River Heights Drive until the Highway 22 access is created, or if there will be an alternative construction access point.
Thanks for that, Brian. We did touch on this one earlier as well. So up to the first phase of development, which is 100 to 150 units, can utilize the River Heights Drive, and then the second access will be.
Thanks, Brian. Next question. They see along the subject line there is a stripping and grading application. Is it typical that this gets ordered ahead of approval from the town? Anyone could speak to that.
Don't take that out.
I can take that. I'm not sure what is meant by ordered, but oftentimes you will see developers run applications concurrent with each other, totally at the developer's risk. Of course, in this case, stripping and grading could not proceed prior to any approval of the neighborhood plan and land use by council. But there is an active stripping and grading application that is currently under review.
Great. We received a question asking if there's a map that shows the phases. We do have a map. I'll be sure to follow up after this session providing that. That's a very good question. So thanks, Patricia.
I might also be able to pull it up. Just want to be sure I don't pull up the I want to get the correct one. So yeah, I'll just because if I start rooting through PDFs, I think they'll just pop up. So I'll try to pull it up for the end of the session. Can we kind of save that one?
Yeah. I'll save that one to follow up. Yeah. Oops. I'll go back to that. Okay. Sorry, I'm just trying to. So this question, I think, is specifically about natural areas. If there is an arborist on the team for planting those trees. There's a few newer neighborhoods where the trees are dying because they were planted improperly by developers. That's a very great comment. And yeah,
I'll start, and then maybe one of these guys wants to jump in. It could be referring to street trees, in the public road right away, or it could be referring to just trees planted in parks. With regard to street trees specifically, over the last couple of years, some of the development industry has been working on the road standards to ensure there's more space for tree bulbs to not die immediately, to thrive better. But yeah, I guess in general, we always say that the developer also wants those trees to live because they help to sell the community. So we are always trying to make sure that the trees do survive, but also we have tough Alberta winters.
Thanks, Jack. Could you also explain the existing dedication area, that orange pie shape this attendee said on the southwest edge of the development area? At what point will more details be known about the type of housing as well as start and completion timelines for construction in this area?
I am curious about the label too, dedication. I wonder if it was supposed to be existing designation, like as in the land use. That is a separate landowner who has not specifically put forward a land use application through this proposal, but there's a general intent for that to be the medium density type housing.
Yeah, just to add to that, Jack, that parcel is zoned under a previous approval, and through discussions with the town, we were requested to include them in the outline plan. You are correct that it is zoned for R mid, residential medium density. So if you refer to the land use bylaw, you'll probably get a better idea on the type of built form that will be constructed there. But it is a third party parcel owned by other landowners aside from Douglas Developments.
All right, we've received another Highway 22 question. I don't remember if we've already addressed this, but I'll just bring it up again. Will construction access be from Highway 22 be for stripping and grading? Sorry, let me reword that. Will construction access from Highway 22 be for stripping and grading? If anyone could speak to that.
Yeah, thanks for the question. I'm just going to reframe it and then I'll let Alan answer it. I think that folks are always interested in understanding where construction traffic will access the site in general. So, yeah, Alan, if you can.
Yeah, and I have a lot of experience with subdivision construction. So what I can say is the heavy grading equipment and equipment for subdivision, pipes, roads, moving dirt. The developer will typically work with Alberta Transportation and the town to probably bring that equipment in off the highway. But we'll have to work within the regulations and permits that are required to do that in conjunction with the selected contractor for the project. So most of the builder traffic post-construction of the subdivision would use public roads just as any other member of the public would. So I hope that helps answer the question.
Thanks, Alan. Back to the RiverRidge Drive interface question we received earlier. They're more interested in that roadway coming off of River Heights Drive. Do we know how much traffic from the traffic study will come off the drive going into this new development during construction? If anyone could speak to that. Was I clear on how I worded that question?
That's okay. Yeah, I can start. Yeah, so as mentioned, until until the Highway 22 access is completed, all residential traffic and small construction traffic will come from River Ridge Drive. But as Alan mentioned, the developer can also coordinate with Alberta Transportation to get bigger construction vehicles on site for major work.
And just to add, like that intersection is being upgraded with the first phase of subdivision to accommodate any additional traffic from development.
Great, thanks, Alan. We've received a question about why direct control was selected for the central portion of the rezoning. If anyone could speak to that.
Yeah, I can speak to that. Douglas has a specific, I wish I could zoom in. It's on the bottom right portion of this slide, a specific housing product they call back-to-back townhomes. It's a medium density housing product that doesn't quite fit under any of the standard land use districts. It's not really doing anything crazy innovative. It's just that specifically the way that it's designed doesn't quite work within the town's standard district. So we had to do a direct control, which means that we create a customized rule set that's approved by council. And that applies to these two darkest orange at the center of the plan.
Thanks, Jack. While we're on this slide, someone asked to explain that blue arrow heading north to the river to the pedestrian bridge. I think they're referring to that stormwater drainage arrow.
This blue one?
Yeah, that's what I think, yeah.
I'm actually not sure what that blue arrow is on this plan. I don't see it on any other plan. So it's possible that this
Um,
was explaining. Yeah, Alan, do you know?
Yeah, there's an existing stormwater main
Okay.
that runs down River Heights Rise that this development and others south of the river tie into. So I'm guessing that's what that is, Jack. But
Okay,
yeah,
sounds
it's
cool.
maybe not so relevant to the figure. And just to clarify, that road is a closed road, River Heights Rise beyond River Heights Lane, and the intention is for it to remain closed. I do understand that various discussions are ongoing with regards to the status of the bridge as well. So this development does not contemplate any transportation for vehicles to access River Heights Rise, simply from a pedestrian perspective, which I know, Jack, you mentioned that pathway that is contemplated in the town's master plan would be a town funded project that
Yeah,
this
yeah, and
development would tie into.
I definitely now see the stormwater drainage label that was underneath my my cursor. And I did see there was at least one other question about access on River Heights Rise. I think Alan's answered that, but yeah, just want to be super clear that there's no traffic to this development coming through on River Heights Rise.
Great. We've got a question about another Highway 22 question. They're asking, with proposed developments on the other side of Highway 22, there will likely be a need to have pedestrian access and vehicle access through RiverRidge to schools on River Heights Drive. Will a pedestrian overpass be built over Highway 22? And how will we'll touch on that first for the follow-up. But if anyone could speak to whether they know if pedestrian access will be available on Highway 22.
I don't believe there's any plan to build a pedestrian overpass with Highway 22. Highway 22 is just sort of a reality of life in Cochrane. It does bisect some portions of development. It's not town owned, so Alberta Transportation has say. Yeah, I guess all I can say about that. In terms of the last portion of the question about increased traffic, again, Highway 22 is undergoing significant upgrades now and will continue to be upgraded by AT. As well, from the town's perspective, River Heights Drive and all of the improvements to the east and coming, north and east to downtown are being brought online at the same time.
Thanks, Jack. Just scanning through these questions. Okay, we've got a question asking if there are any 3-story multiplex planned for the area. If anyone could speak to that.
Yeah,
I'll just bring up, I'll bring up the slide and then Matt can speak to it.
Yeah, I guess, I'll answer best I can here. The back-to-back townhomes are 3 stories, where the bottom or basement, so to speak, is a garage with typically a small office or a small bedroom. So that would be your slab on grade ground floor, and then your middle floor typically has living room, kitchen, maybe an office, and then the upstairs has your bedrooms, bathrooms, and more living space. So if that's what's being asked by 3-story multiplex, yes, the back-to-back towns do not have basements. They're slab on grade and are 3 stories high.
I'd also add, Matt, that there's a lot of grade on this site, so you'll end up with some reverse walkout lots and various walkout lots that, to work with the natural topography of the land, would look like 3 stories from the street, but in fact, they're walkout type lots.
Absolutely, great point. Yeah.
Thanks, you two. We've got another question. It's another 2-parter. They're asking if there are plans to ensure slope stability on the sides of River Heights Rise. It's part one.
So that means along the east portion of the plan and the west portion of River Heights Rise.
Yeah, that's
Um,
it. Yes.
so the answer would be yes. That yellow, the yellow bolded line there is the area where there is a degree of slope that requires analysis from a geotechnical perspective, and that that area has been looked at in terms of where we can set back. It's called the factor of safety, where we can locate the back of homes and lots at the top of the slope and an appropriate setback from the top of the slope to ensure that there's no concerns with slippage down the slope. I don't know if I really explained that very well, but the answer is yes.
Thanks, Jack. Second part of this question is about pathways, and they're asking what types of pathways will connect RiverRidge Rise to River Heights Rise? Maybe we could pop into the
I don't know if you
pathway
have the
slide.
pathway figure there, but I do believe there's a series of paved pathways that.
There it is. Yeah, that's the one I was looking for because this has the street labels on it. Yeah, that's what I was looking for. Yeah, you can see how there's one pathway that traverses down the slope, and the rest sort of a network coming up. So this is a 3-meter paved pathway.
Perfect. Thank you. I'm not sure which figure this question comes from, but they're asking about the yellow dotted line marked factor if safety.
Yeah, I think that one probably came before we just did our explanation a minute ago. Yeah, so the yellow dashed line is the factor of safety. That is the line that the geotechnical engineers assess where it is safe to develop above that line. And it's more than just like the factor of safety is like a level of confidence as well. So it's not just like, it's probably okay to develop here. It is definitely okay to develop.
Great, thank you, Jack.
Jane, there's a couple at the top of the chat that I thought maybe we didn't get to. Were you leaving those on purpose or?
Yeah, they're big chunks of text and
Okay, sure. I can do the one from Mike if you want.
Sure, yeah.
Okay, so the one from Mike is saying, is there an inevitable demand to access the town directly from, sorry, I'm changing the slide as I'm doing, directly from River Heights Rise and across the bridge? This combined with the new neighborhood closer to the bridge seems a demand for this route rather than other exits. I've also seen at least one other comment referring to this. Is there any interest in the town in replacing an old bridge, alleviating congestion? It's a long-standing conversation. It is a significant area of interest. Obviously, that bridge has unique heritage and historic qualities, and so but it also cannot really withstand any real vehicular access to downtown. So that is really something the town has been mulling over for a long time. I don't know the answer to that. Certainly not something that we can affect the outcome of. So I guess by not answering the question, I've answered the question. But
thanks, Jack. Next question asks about phase one. So this is another call to that phasing map, which we'll follow up with. Construction vehicles they're asking if construction vehicles will be driving on River Heights Drive. How will construction impact the school traffic? If we know the answer to that, I could speak to that.
I can jump in on that one, Jack. Appropriate construction traffic mitigation plans will be implemented by both the contractor and developer time of construction. And just anecdotally, I would note that the bulk of construction would in and out of the development would occur, at least from the subdivision perspective, outside of school traffic hours when children are making their way to and from school. So, and again, appropriate and robust measures are looked at both through the transportation impact assessment that was completed and at the time of construction here with subdivision.
I'm seeing there's another question at the top of the chat related to trip generation. So I am just now taking the break that I mentioned to go and get that information so that we.
Yeah, Jack, I just did type out an answer. Unfortunately, attendees, Zoom doesn't allow you to paste images, but I did type out very quickly the trip generation forecast during early development, phases 1 and 2, phases 1 through 3, and then ultimate build out for the year 2040.
So thanks for doing that.
Okay, and yeah, so from the transportation impact assessment, the AM peak, the morning peak and afternoon peak trips are between 170 and 200 additional trips. That's at full build out of the development with both access points.
Going back to that protecting the Bow River slide, looking at that figure, someone noted that it looks like there might be development outside of the factor of safety circle. Maybe we could revisit that figure just to.
Oh, yeah, sorry, I forgot I was no longer sure. There we go. Yeah. Yeah, I'm not sure if there's some confusion, but the yellow dashed line is the factor of safety. Obviously, the slopes are to the north and to the east of it. So there's no development shown outside of that area. I think maybe there was some confusion about this circle. It's just showing that the development is focused above the slope. But I apologize if that created some confusion. The yellow line is the area above, beyond which we're not developing.
Okay, thank you, Jack. Someone's asking if the traffic impact assessment would be available to the public. And if so, where could they get a copy?
Alan, do you want to take that one?
Yeah, I mean, typically those are technical studies submitted in conjunction with the application. So if you visited the clerk at the municipal offices, I'm sure they'd be happy to facilitate a review of public documents related to the file. And this file will be going to council shortly where public information is presented. I hope that answers the question.
Yeah, thanks for the question. I will leave another minute if anyone else has any additional questions. Oh, we've got a clarifying question on that factor of safety line. They're noting that there's development on the North Ridge that looks like it's on a slope of over 15 degrees.
I wouldn't read too much into the contours that are on that plan. It is based on LiDAR. A detailed topo was completed in conjunction with detailed borehole analysis. That geotech study went through a lot of robust and rigorous technical review with both the town and the developer's consultant. So I wouldn't read too much again into the contours on that map. Sorry, Jack, maybe you want to add something, but
no, I understand that someone's inferring from the existing.
Yeah, it is also pre-existing grades, whereas we are looking at slope stability post-development. So that's an important distinction there to be made.
And similar question from Eric. Same as with the TIA. The city can provide those documents.
Thanks for your questions, everyone.
And it's very easy to get access to files at the municipal offices. Yeah, you just need to request them from the municipal clerk and probably fill out a couple application forms. We
Great.
can we have a bylaw, an application reference number that people can refer to if required. I assume here, Jane or Jack.
I can pull it up. It'll take me a sec though. I'll put it in the chat.
We do not have a date yet that this is going to council. As mentioned before, the application's completing its final review, at which point it'll work through legislative services to be scheduled for a decision.
We received another question. They're asking why we renamed the north-south portion of River Heights Lane and why that was necessary. Just looking at the map here. The north-south portion of River Heights Lane, is that renamed?
She might be referring to the Collector Road. I think Shelley,
Okay.
if I'm interpreting it correctly.
Okay. And I guess she's asking, was it renamed, that the name of that road specifically for this project? Did it have a different name before?
Yeah, I think she's referring to, and Shelley, feel free to type. It is currently River Heights Lane, but when it becomes the Collector Road, it will be River Ridge Drive, which will connect into River Heights Drive. But currently existing road name is River Heights Lane.
Right. So I guess is it necessary to rename? Not necessarily. It's just being done to align with the name of the community. Jane, I got the file reference number. Where would I put that? How do I put that in the chat so everyone can see it?
You could send that to me, and then
Okay,
I could
I
paste
will.
it in the chat. Yeah.
Send it. Also, I just pulled up this slide again. If you don't have Jane's information already or the website, they're included here. Okay. If there aren't any other questions, maybe we can wrap up.
Yeah.
Oh, Jane, that's the file reference number.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's the application number that the city uses to refer to the file.
Okay. Thanks, Jack. I've shared that in the chat with everyone. Oh, yeah, someone's asking about the website. It doesn't appear to be active. I will double check on that and be sure to follow up. Sorry about that.
No.
Should have been.
Okay.
Yeah.
It was
Okay.
active recently.
It was, yeah. Okay, that's weird.
Okay.
We will deal with that. Thank you for flagging that.
Might just be maintenance or something like that.
Yeah.
Sorry, that's not the greatest timing, but
Yeah, not the greatest timing at all. Aside from that, thank you again, everyone who joined us this evening and took the time to participate. Your questions and feedback are a really important part of the process, so this was really helpful. A recording of tonight's session, along with the presentation slides and the feedback form, will be emailed to all registrants, which will remain open, like the feedback form will remain open until March 17th. If you think of any additional questions after tonight, you're welcome to contact me directly. My email is on the screen right there. Thank you again everyone for your time and engagement. We appreciate your participation and we hope you have a great evening.